Make your book great with our 6-step book writing template. Writing a great book can give you a really good boost to your reputation and your business. But it can also take a lot of time and effort, especially if you're writing your first book and you're not sure how to go about it. As a former architect, I love the idea of structure and foundation, because without this, your building doesn't stand up and it doesn't stand out. The key to writing a great book is the same. You need a consistent structure or a firm structure or a solid outline so you know what to write and so your readers can follow your line of thought. In this video, I'll share my 6-step book writing template that I use to write my books. Plus, I'll use the current book I'm writing as the example to showcase how to use it. And at the end of the video, I'll share a tip that will enable you to take your book to the next level. I'm Geoff McDonald and I help business experts and thought leaders create content so they can earn money from what they know. And currently, I'm writing my 12th book. Before we dive in, let's be clear. This is a book writing template for non-fiction business books. Plus, it's not the only way to map out or structure or outline your book. In a previous video, I shared 18 different ways to write your book. This is one of them, and it's my preferred one. I've used it in my previous book, Done, and I've also worked with clients with it. And you might like to take it for a test drive. In my previous video, Content Pillars, the insider strategy to becoming a thought leader, I shared a 6-step strategy for creating your content pillars. These are the key topics you'll talk about with your clients and your online followers. The good news is these are the exact same 6 steps that I use for my book writing template. This is a huge advantage because it means you can easily translate your content from your content marketing, into your book and vice versa. I'll share the 6 steps first and then I'll use my book as an example of how to use this book writing template. So the 6 steps are, number 1, content topic. Start with your topic. What's your area of expertise? Number 2, the current situation, the problem or the now. Where is your client or your reader right now? Future scenario. When the problem is solved, what does their world look like? Number 4, the usual solution. How do most people tackle this problem? Number 5 is your solution. What's your unique way of tackling this problem? And how is it better than the usual way? Number 6 are your rules, your principles, or your process steps to go from tackling the problem to enabling your readers or your clients to reach their desired future. That's a quick summary of the steps, and now I'm going to dive into the detail and use the current book I'm writing as an example. Number 1, the content topic. There are 3 key pieces around your topic. The first one is the title, the second is a category, and the third are the key words. The working title of my book is Ideas Marketing, and the subtitle of my book, which is more of an explanation than that title, is How to Attract a Cult-like Following. My big tip here is to use a working title for your book and then just start writing. I've seen so many people waste a lot of time, and I think it's called procrastination. They've wasted a lot of time trying to work out the title of the book before they write anything. My tip is start writing and the title will emerge. The second part is the category, and this is the frame of reference that you want your readers to be able to quickly and easily place the context of your book into. For my book, it's as simple as it's about marketing and branding. Next is the keywords. These go deeper than the category. You'll want to highlight some of the phrases and the keywords and the things people say about this current topic. For example, some of the keywords and phrases that I'll be using in my book are around brand ideals, the 4 P's of marketing, and a product ecosystem. Number 2, the current situation. What's the current situation your potential readers or clients are facing? If you don't build the bridge from their current situation to your solution, then you're going to leave them behind and they won't hear your message at all. So start with where they are at and then build a bridge to where you'd like them to be. There are 3 things to consider here. The first is their current problem. What are they struggling with? The second are the words they are using. If you can be specific and catch their exact words that they use to describe their situation, you'll have a much better impact. And third, we want to look at the emotions they're feeling. What are they feeling right now? Are they stressed? Are they confused? Are they frustrated? For my book, marketers seem to be struggling at the moment. They've had this deluge of social media that just means the old rules aren't working in the way that they used to. And they literally say that. They say the usual ways don't work like they used to. And a really useful framework here is the Kubler-Ross process of grief. And essentially she has 5 steps where when we're grieving, we go through. And this is kind of where it's like a customer journey map for your customers. For my audience, most of them are in the first 2 phases of denial or potentially anger. The old ways are not working and they're potentially confused by this or trying to pretend that it's still working when it's not. The good news, particularly for me, is that I think they're ready for a fresh alternative. Number 3, the future scenario. The future scenario describes what the world will look like for your customer or your reader when their problem has been resolved. In Joseph Campbell's famous hero's journey, he talks about the common world where the hero starts out, then they enter into this special world where they're challenged, and then they come out transformed and return to the common world. So it's a beautiful cycle. At a simple level, the future scenario may be an opposite of what they currently have. For example, they might be stressed, they want to be calm. But at a much deeper level, what you want to aim for is a transformation. For my book, if marketers are currently feeling a bit confused and frustrated, when they see the framework that I lay out, I'm hoping that those feelings will dissolve and they'll actually see a whole host of new opportunities, which means they'll be excited and refreshed about what life could look like as a marketer. Specifically, I want to connect the dots. I believe there's a whole bunch of separate things out there in the way marketers are operating. And if I can put a pattern together that links them, then that's going to be the key result for them seeing the world in new ways and potentially being transformed. A great example of a future scenario and the way to describe it is Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech, where he goes into quite precise details of how that might look. Number 4, the usual solution. The usual solution is, how do most people go about tackling this problem? The key to this step is to do some basic research. You can simply ask potential readers or your clients or your colleagues, how would you solve this problem? What would you do? For my book, when I ask people about how they do their marketing and branding, the usual response is that they deal with them separately. They might start with marketing or they might start with their branding. Or they might only deal with one side of it. They might say, I'm a marketer, I don't care about branding. And one of the classic tools they use is the 4 Ps of marketing. And these are product, price, promotion, and place. But what's really interesting is you start to search for 4 Ps, you'll start to see there's the 5 Ps and the 6 Ps and the 7 Ps. So the 4 Ps model in my world is starting to break apart and people are looking for an alternative. And that's what I think I can provide. Number 5 is your solution. So far, we've spent a lot of time checking in and trying to work out where your client is currently at. As I mentioned, this is a critical piece of building rapport and relationship with your potential audience. If you're way out into the distance out here talking about something they've never heard of, they're not going to even hear what you're saying. What you need to do is start with where your people are and hopefully lead them and pace them to your solution. So now we want to deal with your solution, that side of things that gives people a new way of looking at things. And there are 3 critical pieces here. The first one, you need a specific name. You need to call your solution something. For example, car makers do it all the time. One of my favorites is Rolls-Royce have a model called the Silver Shadow. For me, my solution is called Ideas Marketing. The second one is you also want to have a short statement, a bit like an elevator pitch for your book. For me, around Ideas Marketing, it's an 8-part strategy process to unite your marketing and branding so your clients can live through your products and services. It's a bit wordy right now, but I'll edit it as I write the book. So you can start to think of these solutions as having a practical result for your book as well. So you're going to need a subtitle, you're going to need some copy for the back of the book, you're going to need some marketing text. So by writing and defining your solution, you'll be able to use it in those ways as well. And remember to include key stories around the transformation of people you've worked with or examples you've seen. Number 6 is your rules. And your rules or your principles or your steps are the way that you take the person from their current situation to their ideal future. The question to answer here is, if someone was sitting in front of you with those problems and they asked you, what should I do? These are the things you'd tell them to do. They might be principles or they might be steps for action to take. This is going to be the biggest part of your book, and it's more than likely you'll write a chapter on each one of them. So for me, I have an 8-part solution, therefore I need to be writing 8 chapters around those solutions. So my 8 parts are manifesto, create your big idea, game, define how you win, publish, spread the word, experience, make emotional moments, artifacts, enable with tools, cult, unite the like-minded, ritual, live it every day, and gestalt, make it sustainable. So that's the 6 basic steps. Now we want to look at how we're going to use these in our finished book. I tend to think of books as having 3 basic sections. You have an introduction, you have your chapters, and then you have your conclusion. Your introduction is crucial because this is where you'll do a lot of the heavy lifting to engage your audience. You need to speak to where they're at, address their problems, and present the possibility of what it could look like if they solved that problem. Typically, the first 5 steps of this book writing template are all going to be in your introduction. Then we have the main chapters. As I've just said, each of your core principles, rules, or steps will have its own chapter. And it's worth noting that the 5 steps, this whole process, actually then becomes a fractal or a microcosm in each chapter. So each chapter needs to define the problem, the usual way people talk about it, the solution, and so forth. And finally, the third part is the conclusion. Typically, a conclusion has 3 parts. You restate the problem, you wrap up and summarize what you've covered, and ideally you create a future scenario for them. So you're presenting the world as, if we all did this, this is what it could look like. Now for the bonus tip. And you might think of this as a 7th step, but I think it's actually an overarching one that covers all the other 6. And that's to create a visual diagram or model for your book. And you might have noticed I've done that in this video by using this model. This has the power of giving you a snapshot of what you're writing about, so it's easy for you to understand. Plus, it's an easy roadmap for your readers to look at and go, oh, okay, I get how all this fits together. Plus, it might even be something that you share online that becomes a signature part of your book. A great example of this is Stephen Covey in his famous book, best-selling book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. If you've read the book, I'm sure you'll recognize the diagram. Our summary of our book writing template. Let's wrap up what we've covered here. A clear book writing template makes it easier for you to write your book and easier for your audience to read it. The big bonus of this approach that I'm sharing today is that it's the same process for your content marketing. It's your content marketing pillars and your book writing template all in one. In your introduction, you want to be writing about the audience's current situation. Where are they at right now? Then you want to present a scenario about what the world would look like if they solved their problem, something to aspire for. Next, we want to look at the usual way this problem is solved and while it fails to deliver on all that it promises. And naturally, this creates the opening for your solution. Then the bulk of our book is going to be the steps, the rules, the principles of how we go about making that solution stick. Finally, in our conclusion, we want to present a summary of what we've covered, but we also want to show what's next or a future pace about how the world could be. If you follow this simple 6-step book writing template, then your book writing efforts will be much cleaner and clearer for you and for your readers. If you want more details on this, check out the blog post link in the description down below. And if you want some coaching on content creation, head over to my website at geoffmcdonald.com. That's it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again in the next video. Bye.